But what exactly do we mean by the word giant? Bloodthirsty monsters like the one-eyed Cyclops of Homer's Odyssey? Or the fee-fi-fo-fum ogres of children's fairy tales? Or could it also include peaceable giants, living as you and I do, walking the streets of our cities in the full light of day?
There are really two kinds of people who could be considered giants. There are giants who are genetically programmed to be tall, people who are normal, but their genes mean that their genes lead them to be very, very tall. And then there are people who suffer from some kind of a disorder, the most common of which, or at least the most well-known of which, is acromegaly, which is a disease in which there is too much growth hormone produced. And acromegaly has a lot of effects on the body. It not only leads to excessively tall people, but it also leads to potential problems with the skeleton and potential problems with some of the organs inside. Ryan is a healthy, well-proportioned, 7-foot-tall, normal young man. I just wish I were as tall as he was.
But what makes a person unusually tall? Is it a family trait, nutrition, or something else? Are tall people just ordinary people of exceptional height? Certainly some tall people are giants in their profession, and if that happens to be basketball, they may be millionaires too. Genuine giants didn't always do so well. Here's Jack the Giant Killer presenting his latest capture to the king. Towards the end of the 19th century, this 9-footer was given to the Russian Tsar as a gift. For some of the vertically unchallenged, it was possible to make a modest living by displaying themselves in public. From there, it wasn't very far to the Carnival Freak Show, which wasn't complete without one or more giants. Even after death, they could still draw a crowd. Anna Swan and her husband Martin, both 7.5 feet tall, went on tour as the world's tallest married couple. It probably took 2 storks to deliver their 24-pound newborn. Which brings us back to the question, where do they come from? Is it possible that in the dim and distant past, they can trace their ancestry to a race of giants? The Weizmann Institute's award-winning scientist, Dr. Marvin Antelman, believes he has the answer.
If we all have genetic material from the first man, then it is not surprising to find here and there that you would have a giant existing among us today, because there would be a recessive gene that would produce such a person.
The Watusi tribe, for instance, are very large. The median height for most of their males is close to about 7 feet. They're extremely tall.
There are biblical references to even taller people who lived in ancient times. Rabbi Itzhak Mamostin of the Center of Jewish Studies in Vancouver, Canada.
It seems quite clear because of the references in Genesis and later on the book of Numbers and also in Deuteronomy, which are all fairly consistent with each other, that there were gigantic beings that seem to stem from pre-flood era.
Is it possible that environmental conditions of past ages favored the development of giants? Certainly we know from fossil evidence that some species, like dinosaurs, grew many times larger than they do today. A supporter of this thought-provoking and controversial theory is Dr. Carl Bohr.
Optimal genetic expression means the best that the organism has within the DNA is expressed because of favorable atmospheric conditions.
Based on fossil evidence, trees like the California giant sequoia grew much larger than they do today. One theory explains this by proposing that environmental